And that's very, very known today. I mean, there's a lot
cutting.
of cutting.
A lot of the girls
oh
are
my
cutting
gosh,
now.
guys, I
Yeah.
could tell you stories. There's so much cutting now. People cutting, girls, young girls cutting themselves. Why? Because when you're so numb from pain, Ann, when you cut, you feel something. It's like it hurts. I feel something. So this is the whole thing, this perception of oneself. So now with all of this under my arm, I'm like, okay, now what am I going to do? Well, I want
some
power.
spirituality?
I'll become a witch.
Oh, goody.
So I decide I'm going to be a witch.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, I love the fact that you said power, because a lot of the time people think, oh, you know, witchcraft is just a joke, but really what was underlying it was that you wanted to feel powerful.
Feel powerful.
And accepted.
Yes.
That's the big thing.
Belonging.
Again, exception. I want to be accepted. So if I'm a witch and I have power, I can come in and I can read your mail and I can let you know I'm somebody. I'm not nobody, I'm somebody. So I didn't want to get into dark witchcraft, no, and the devil. I wanted white witchcraft. Well, they're all the same. Now, girls, witchcraft, I travel internationally. Witchcraft is on an all-time high right now in America. Vampirism, werewolf, shape-shifting, witchcraft, Wicca, big, everywhere. America, Canada, worldwide, people are going after witchcraft. Our young kids are reading about witchcraft, going to church on Sunday and then reading, you know, vampire books.
Or watching the movies.
Yes, and you know, I could get into that too. And that is something that people really need to know about.
And the thing is that you speak from experience, Carol. You have gone down that path. You know what you're talking about when you talk about witchcraft, when you talk about incarnations and all of this. You lived that life for 6 years.
It's so deceptive. Again, you see yourself as, now I have power. Now I'm a practicing witch. I'm operating in psychic power. I can walk in and read people's mail and tell them things nobody knows. They know that I have power. And I studied vampirism. I wasn't a vampire, and I knew vampires, and I studied the history of it. And when you think about what you're getting involved in, blood drinking, shape-shifting, witchcraft, suicide, vampirism, if you want, see the movies or read the books, a lot of suicide. There's suicide. So I'm a witch practicing, doing incantations and spells, learning about vampirism, learning about darkness, learning how to control people, and thinking, okay, now I've arrived. Now I have power. But what happens is the devil always sets you up. See, he always makes everything look pretty. He makes it look, what's wrong with this? It's a love story.
Jesus
Don't
called
talk
him an
about
angel of
drinking
light.
blood. You know, what's wrong with this? It's only getting what you want through an incantation. Can't possibly be harmful. Yes, it is. So everything looks so wonderful. And what happens is the devil sets you up, and one day when he's done, he kicks the feet out from under you. I invited spirits in. People need to understand you can invite spirits into your life. Familiar spirits. I asked them to come in. I meditated in deep states to be possessed by these spirits that I thought would give me wisdom and knowledge.
And don't they work primarily through your thought life and imagination?
They're spirits. They live inside your mind. And yes, they do work through that. You're absolutely right. They begin to form different thoughts, and you began to... And another thing, you know, what we need to realize is witchcraft does work. Let's go into Pharaoh's office with Moses and the magicians. Moses did something, and the magician says, we can do that. When it was all over, God was above all. They could not copy everything Moses did because God is God and he's great.
But it's real power.
But it's real power. Oh, yeah. Well, why do you think people get into it? Because you want power. I would walk in a room and read cards. Unclean spirits would come near, give me information. How do you think psychics tell you what your private life is? They know because they're in cahoots and they're communicating with spirits that are unseen. They're telling them, you know, well, this is where she was today because they were there when you were there. So now I look at you and say, you went to the store today and you dropped the milk. And you're like, oh, well, you gotta be getting it from God. And then people argue with you. They'll go, well, geez, Carol, don't you think you're being a little tough? These psychics help the police department when people are murdered. You know, I always look back and say, why don't they ever help them find them alive? Why do they always find them dead? Did you ever think about that? Well, of course that spirit knows where that body is. So you're operating in this power, and I thought, now I have arrived. I'm the best thing since sliced toast, boy. I am a witch. I'm powerful. But the more you involve yourself with Satan, and I love the way you said it's choices and consequences, Anne, the more you get with Satan, the more you take on his personality. Suddenly I became fearful, because with power comes fear. People don't like to admit it, but with power comes fear. You talk to the largest pagans around, they'll tell you in the secret, they'll say, I got a lot of power, but I got a lot of fear. So now I have these unclean spirits. My thought life is so diseased. My behavior's diseased. I'm shooting up. I'm suicidal. I want to die. I just want to die. I remember one day they put me in a mental institution. They found me walking the streets, and I was in the mental institution, and I sat there, and a tiny little yellow bird landed on the windowsill. And I laid on my bed and I watched the freedom of this beautiful little bird. And for a moment I thought, in all that I've just described to you, maybe God does love me. Maybe he sent that little bird to say to me, I'm thinking about you. Here's a little friend. The next day I went to the window and looked, and down below in the courtyard, the little bird had hit the wall and died. And I thought, you don't love me. But all of this that you hear is sad, and there's so much, and you got to get the book. I mean, we're sending it to Europe, the Yukon, Germany, India. The book is gone. But in all of this, God saw that this little girl, Carol Kornacki, was hurting so bad, was broken. And the important thing is, I remember one particular day, and you asked me this, and I want to clarify this. I was sitting alone, and I said to the devil, I want all the power. What do I have to do? And he said audibly, and it may not have been the devil, it could have been an unclean spirit, it could have been anything, said to me, you got to give me all of you. All of you. You got to give it all. And I said, I'm going to do it. What is there left? I was married. We were cheating on each other. We were hurting each other. We were drug addicts. I was possessed with this mentally ill, crazy drug addict. So in a bar, sitting, working as a disc jockey, not bothering with the alcohol, not getting involved with the men, where I worked was a young woman named Linda Smith.
I love Linda.
And she looked over, I know she's in the book, she makes you cry. She looked over at the bar and saw a cocktail waitress with needle marks on her arms, going upstairs with the men in the hotel, got hiding in the bathroom, sniffing drugs, coming out, lost. And I always get a little choked up when you talk about Linda, I know. And she came to me, and you know, the Church of Jesus Christ needs to love the sinner. There's only one place in the Bible you'll ever see the Father running, and it's to a prodigal son. There's no other place in the Bible he runs. That's the only time. So who's ever out there going, I'm too bad, no you're not, no you're not, he'll run to you. So he set Linda in that place to say to me, I know a man named Jesus who will not send you to the abortion clinic, beat you up, stick a needle in your arm, or not love you. I know someone who you can trust your heart with. If you give him your heart and your life, it'll be safe there.
And you know what I love about Linda, what makes me cry? Because I always cry. I think it's because it reflected me and how I have not gone to the cocktail waitress when I should have. That I looked at you and I said, you know what? You are bad. And I judged you. And I didn't walk over to the bar and said, you need Jesus and you need a friend. And not only that, Linda didn't say, you are going to hell because of what you're doing. She lived a life of Christ, and you watched her, and she prayed for you. And the people at the bar came to her with her problems, and she prayed for them. And they trusted her because she didn't gossip.
No, she didn't.
And she wasn't judgmental.
No, she didn't.
And I look at myself, because it was a reflection, Carol, of myself, and I said, I am a Christ follower, but I am judgmental. And I do gossip. And I don't go when God says, go to that person and say that they are loved. And I think that was the part of Linda of why I cry, because I go, so if we all could be like Linda, go to the bars, go to the dark places where there needs to be light and love them, not preach at them, not condemn them,